Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Health University. I'm delighted to have as my guest today Dr. Stephanie Remke. She has been my teacher for a few courses, including brain entrainment, circadian flow, and peptide therapy. And I know that's the tip of the iceberg. And I've taken a course that she has called 3R. I think it's being redesigned in name, and I'll invite her to share with you what that new name may be. But that's the purpose of this conversation today, is how 3R is so imperative to women undergoing fertility challenge, because we have now the ASRM giving diagnosis of infertility, which allows more people to get care. But what they're not getting is the actual care. And that comes from self-care. And this is what her course is, just a deep dive in how to experience self-care so that you can be your most vital, vibrant, and engaging person in all of your relationships. So welcome, Dr. Stephanie. Do you prefer Dr. Stephanie or Dr. Remke?
I like either Stephanie or Dr. Remke.
Okay.
So I'm like, either one of them is fine.
And I will call you Dr. Remke because otherwise I'll trip over my tongue. Did I miss anything in the intro that you want to make sure that listeners get to know about you?
I think you did a beautiful job. So first of all, I always call you Dr. Fox.
That's fine. Yep. Mm-hmm. I go by everything. I actually ask my patients to call me Susan because I want to take away that
I'm the same way.
Isn't that funny?
I'm the same in a brick and mortar, right? For some reason, I feel like when I'm with them present, they're better with Stephanie.
Yeah.
Unless their cultural bias needs to put the authority on me if it makes them feel safer. Yeah. So a lot of times the 60, 70 to 80-year-olds, they want to call me Stephanie, honey, and I'm like, I am fine with it, all of it. I'm like, we're, the wise woman, or, like, I'm good with it. I'm just here to guide you and nudge you in one little direction, perhaps, optimize your health. And then a lot of the Southern ladies want their children to definitely call them.
Of course, so, that's right.
So there's always that, but I'm good with it. I'll just say this, that, I specialize in mental health, which is really brain health. And my journey of starting with in that realm in very difficult cases of schizophrenia, working in a mental hospital, and then really being sidetracked and focusing on autism and vaccine injury has led me to work with a lot of special needs families. And it was working with, thousands of these families and dealing with who is in charge of that house, who is making all the health decisions, who is doing everything. Well, it's the mother, 90% of the time, the majority of all healthcare decisions are made by the woman in the home. She's deciding all of it, right? And she's the primary organizer of everything, of every school schedule, doctor, everything. She may even
be an implementer.
Yes, she is the one, right? So she carries more weight in terms of mental stress, cognitive demand, all of that. And she feels like her job is really 24/7. There's really no time off, especially when you have high risk children that could have a seizure at any time or have violent spells, or 13-year-olds still in diapers, right? So there's a lot that goes into this. And these women, I became one of them myself, and looking at how much we want to give, right? I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to stand by. I am biologically built to create, to give, to multiply.
Yeah.
Right. I take anything and I can times it by 1,000. Right. So that's what we do. I amplify, I make life, and I want to nurture and care for that. It is what does satisfy me. And we have fallen in through a lot of cultural programming, not to mention it's our innate desire most of the time, to think that's all we can do. And if we don't do it, we're losing our value. So to be taught we should take care of the children before ourselves, to take care of the spouse before ourselves, even the house, and now the business, right? We have to
own the community.
Yeah, everything, the church, whatever it is you're doing. And so I was having to tell them so much. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? We always go back to that plain analogy. It is not selfish. If you don't do that, mama, you will pass out. Who's going to take care of the baby then? right? So through seeing it, the wear and tear of all of them, and then myself, I'm like, this has got to change. And as I started forcing, basically, let's go back to you, it became the moment often in practice where I would say, actually, I understand this 8-year-old boy needs my help right now. I see the tantrums. I get he's anxious. I understand there's emotional dysregulation. But that autism isn't going away right now. And I'm not it can wait 3 months because actually you need me more. You just don't understand that you deserve to need me more. And if I can't get you regulated, we're never going to get him regulated. Right? And so my course, my practice led into, so I can only see so many people. And so where I'd be seeing the children, you in general have to see the whole family. And so I have to deal with the whole family system. And so, children are often 6 patients at once. You're not really getting paid more for that.
Right.
So I started the simple advice I was saying to these women over and over and over and over again for free on the side to these moms. Here, let me just tell you, because when you're done with him, I promise I can't wait till I can come in here and get help for myself. Well, I can't hear that. I have to have her sleeping, her little unique. So the same thing I'm telling, well, then do this for you. So the same device, the same nervous system regulation, the same way of eating, the same imperative on learning to, you need a timeout, you need a timeout. It's called respite. You need it, right? You need to go on date night. You need to be making love to your husband again. This is not an optional thing, right? So the 3R was rest, restore, renew. I have renamed it to the Radiant Reset. And we'll talk about the transformation of what that course has been over like 5 or 6 years. But it really was as simple as what I take women on. That's a 3-month course. And then I have a secondary 3-month course. And then I have another one. And so really it's like it's a potential 12-month journey you can take into yourself with me as a guide to help you in a community of women to reflect upon and work through things together. It's really a journey into learning how to fall in love and make love to yourself again. So the first course is about getting into the body through rest, nervous system regulation, and a very nourishing way of eating. We're taking starvation, we're taking fasting. I'm taking deprivation and I don't deserve and I can't have, and there's limit and lack and scarcity out of it. So that's what that is. It's about safety to be in the body once again, and nobody can get pregnant. This is a fundamental issue with pregnancy and fertility. The body will brilliantly, by design, masterfully, like a genius, not allow you to get pregnant in times of famine, war, threat, because it knows you must be fully embodied, present, and safe and abundant to take care of this life for a very long time.
Yeah, forever.
Years. I mean, that is so dependent. That we know a horse pops out a foal and it gets up and runs. We don't have that.
No.
You must be able to feed, protect, and defend that life for years before it can take care of itself. Right. We have the longest, infancy, whatever that is, developmental stage of any mammal on Earth. So that's where that kind of is. And so it's a journey of beyond self-care to me. It's really about the foundational step of how you talk about yourself, see yourself, define yourself, that self-image, and being able to come back to being a fully embodied woman again, not just a daughter or a mother. And through the year, I get you deeper into then, the heart and the soul. And the next course that I'm going to launch is going to be straight into the P word, which I'm not going to say it. I really don't like the word vagina because it doesn't describe it, but I'm going to use the P word, right? So you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Or into a woman.
I love the word vulva, frankly. I love the word.
I know. I like the P word. I like I like that after Regina Thomas Shower's book, right? Okay. So I'm going to go into that, which is really at that point taking women really deep into their sensuality, their sexuality, their pleasure centers, the orgasm,
Right.
And the power of orgasm to heal. So that's what the Rest, Restore, Renew. It's a way of eating, it's nourishment, not starvation. And it's nourishing yourself through food, thought, through behaviors, through visualization. It's scheduling time. You deserve, if I have a woman in that corner, you can't carve out 15 minutes a day of resting and then 15 minutes a day of self-adoration, you should not be getting pregnant, because I worry what you would be teaching that child.
Right. And truly, our training in these days is that we just need to, knock out whatever it is, knock out the baby, and then knock out the project, and knock out the managing the teams, and knock out the entrepreneurship, whatever we're doing. But what we're doing literally is knocking ourselves out at the knees, and we're losing our creative potential by limiting ourselves to the projects in front of us and not doing this self-care as self-love.
That's really what you just said, right? That's the hustle and grind kind of culture, the busy. We have a deep addiction to busyness. That's been built into us. I mean, this is the whole educational system, the factory manufacturing system, and they want drone workers. We get it. You didn't end there up there by accident. Okay, let me say that. And even, the Bible, an idle hand, what is it? For, what I'm saying? Like they say, like you're right, busy doing things, right? Mm-hmm. So, but just that word, right? We're going to knock it out, right? Mm-hmm. There's aggression, there's violence, there's war. Mm-hmm. That's masculine. That is pure masculine energy, which is required and needed. I am grateful for the divine masculine. I mean, there better be somebody to do that while you're nursing your baby. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to be you while you're over there cuddling in case something you need to be protected. That would be the masculine, not you, right? So, of course, you wouldn't be able to do the epicenter. The Super Bowl of femininity is to be pregnant and gestate a life and create life. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, you can't get pregnant if everything you're doing is never honoring the feminine, which is to receive. If you can't give to yourself and receive from yourself, how in the world can anybody else do it to you? How could you receive the gift and then make a life, right? That egg is it selects exactly which sperm it's going to allow in. And she is a very picky little thing. And she's like, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen, And it's quite mystical in terms of the 13 that have this 13 sperm, right? And they let the one in, and then the zinc spark of life, and this whole crazy
spark is stunning.
It's insane, right? Yeah. The whole process. You're like, do you not And so when you show women this at times, which I probably needed in my next the master's course, which is really Serenity She's the next course. I don't go into fertility a ton, but I do talk about these things and how eating the right foods depletes deuterium. I get into the science of things very, very heavy in the second course, which I feed the left brain masculine. Yep. And then in the third, I go very right hemisphere and very spiritual and, kind of ethereal with women to really integrate. It's like now you can really deeply dive into that. But how are you supposed to get pregnant if you operate completely from this linear, focused, goal, results-oriented masculine way? And I think that's a huge part of why we see so many fertility issues.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the very fact that even with the entire brilliant IVF process, and I'm a real proponent of it, it's created so many loving and lovely families, but that it, by its own design, almost requires at least 3 egg retrievals, should say something unto itself. That this woman is, kind of just going in there and having these things knocked out, done, exogenous hormones, egg retrieval, make the embryos. Whoops, now that the embryos are failing. Well, the embryos may be failing because that very egg that was trying to be nurtured inside that follicle for the 3 months prior to knocking it out didn't get this kind of self-care and self-love. And in this woman, it breaks my heart because she could be doing all the right things. She could be, taking care of her nutrition and her hydration and sleeping well and doing all of the right things. But because her mindset is almost like an Excel spreadsheet, I'm going to check this off. Yeah. That very thing is the life force inhibitor. That's the fertility impediment. So I think that what you're saying here is it's the infertility buster, if you will, that says it's not just about the doing of the things, it's how you are being when you're doing these things.
Correct. Yeah. If you aren't in the flow of things, and again, that feminine receiving flow, I mean, people are ashamed of it. I was ashamed of it.
I was too. I can remember an instance when I was probably about 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I was lying down on the sofa because I was 7 or 8 months pregnant and tired. And my then husband, I heard him pull into the garage, palpitations. I jumped up, looking like a tiger had just entered the room. What can I do? How can I be busy? And it was so shocking to me because it was so in my face that there was nothing to do. I was doing the right thing, but I was so enculturated that I should not be lying down, that I stunned myself. I shocked myself with how quickly I jumped up and put myself into this frenzy about doing something. So I'm guilty as
awareness. Well, yeah. I mean, we're all programmed. I mean, I wouldn't apologize for my program. I don't apologize for my programming, period. My job is to catch it, right? Look at that. Wow. And then you have an insight. You cannot learn without some type of self-awareness or some type of self-insight. So my course or anything else, and I think imagine what you're working when you work with people. I know Chinese medicine is some of the best, my favorite stuff that I deal with. It is about that. I do neurofeedback. That's a big part of my practice. I'm board certified in neurofeedback. We do that to create self-awareness and self-insight so you can self-correct. That way, if you can do that, and then once you know that skill, I want you to keep doing that till you're 122 or whatever, until you go off and then be like, I'm going to tap out. I think I'm done. See y'all later. Bye. I'm a moment. You know what I mean? But you should be still learning, like, wow, did I just say that? Look what I just did or whatever. And then you can be at choice a little bit. You're always going to go back.
Exactly. A little bit.
The programming is so big, and we have to, you go to sleep. You can have this fantastic day and think you wiped it all away. You go to bed, you go to sleep, and boy, reboot some of that. Some of that's there, right?
Usually between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m.
Yeah. And you're like, boom. And then it's like the next day you're thinking, oh, no, I learned better. I'm doing a new routine. It's like, it came back, and you can just push it away again and choose to be different. So it is not easy to, as I'm a Westerner, I'm an American, okay? I didn't grow up in a Taoist culture. I grew up in, work, external focus, don't be doing anything. But at least I grew up in the 70s where we would be forced outside and look at clouds for hours and, I don't know, make up a game with some rocks. I don't care what you do, but get out of this house because don't dirty my house. And so there was a lot of that, right? So we did have imagination, and I was able to daydream, and which is a very feminine, thing to do. And we get dishonored for imagination and empathy. And these are our superpowers, right?
Thank you. Could you repeat that, please? These are our superpowers.
It is the human superpower, imagination and empathy and intuition. Those are the 3 superpowers of humanity. And women have it, I don't know, 100-fold from men. Right. And that is not saying anything negative. Any man knows this.
Right.
Well, of course you're more intuitive and have more empathy. I mean, and the men that do have really high ones, they're the ones that are like usually like shamans and psychics and whatever. Yeah, unique about them, right?
Yeah.
So these are incredible superpowers, and instead of embracing them culturally, we get embarrassed about that. We she's so much, or she's so sensitive, or, well, this, all these different things.
She got her head in the clouds. Yes.
And yet, on that. Yep. Let's medicate for this, or she's
bingo,
hysterical. So we should say hysterectomy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, as you're speaking, I'm realizing that, nothing in the world has ever been created without imagination, without that moment of downtime where creative force comes through us, right? There's a book by Elizabeth Gilbert. Oh gosh, what's the name? Say again? Big Magic. Big Magic.
About 6 times.
Exactly. I love that book. I have it on Audible. I listened to it twice, and the principle, of course, is that creativity exists. It is its own entity almost, and it comes through us. And we either get to say yes if we have this idea, or we say yes and maybe later, but someone else has got to get it, because that
it wants to be birthed.
Yes, something wants to be birthed. And so whether that is, something new in STEM, in science or technology, or whether it is life, we must give ourselves that space within which to create.
Yeah. And it's critical. And I think my job often with my patients or in my courses is that I'm like, I'm really just here to give you permission.
Mm-hmm.
You want this. As soon as there's like this,
yes,
and I'll do like, well, look, I'm Dr. Rimka, and let me tell you, I'm real good at what I do, whatever. Like, they need the authority of me saying.
And they need the structure. We need the structure to begin. I mean, sometimes we just can't meander into our next best self. We sometimes need someone to take our hand and guide us so that we can then blossom into our next best self.
I try to make it efficient, right? I do want you to have a nice return on an investment. And I'm like, well, it's been a long time, but I've been around the block for a minute, been doing this a long time. So there's many other ways to do it. This has worked well for, hundreds and thousands of women at this point that I've seen, including myself. And so why don't you try it on for 90 days? Mm-hmm. And from there, it's like a buffet that I've selected, I've curated, that are very effective based on neurology, based on a lot of science, and truthfully, I'm going to say the dirty word here that might be like shocking for some people. I know you're out on the West Coast too. It's really avant-garde for California. Is so one of the foundations of that first course, Radiant Reset, is I do suggest a dietary reset, a gastrointestinal reset, a low inflammation reset. And it's an elimination diet. I'm trying to eliminate toxicity, self-talk toxicity, radio. I'm like, can we get rid of the TV? Can you stop watching the news? I want to help you learn to reprogram yourself towards love and light and acceptance and honor who you really are and all this. Your job is to receive. Stop pushing your husband away or your mom, everybody. Like, sure, you want to do that for me? Knock yourself out. I open all the doors for me. And if people who can maybe see me would maybe see this, I'm a bigger woman. I'm almost 6 feet tall. I'm from the streets of Detroit. I grew up fighting a lot. I mean, I physically fist fighting, bricks, chains. I grew up in the hood. It was a rough upbringing, and I'm a mixed breed, light skinned person that people would, come after. And I was a target. It's like, you don't want to mess with this one, And so brutality and aggression was my way,
of survival.
Yeah. And this was a formula that won. It was a winning formula in my neighborhood to get me out of the hood. It didn't work in the rich white people world. So I had to learn a different way of behaving there. So I had 2 ways of behaving, right? Mm-hmm. And I was rewarded for being very masculine. I played sports. People loved it. They loved me being the jock. They loved me winning. Everybody's dad. They liked that I could beat the crap out of the boys. They, girls are
culture. Yeah, their culture.
Yeah, you just called
really unusual. Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this thing, the idea, it's a carnivore diet. I do suggest this ultimate elimination diet of carnivore, and I'll just give this caveat. It is highly effective for fertility. And there's a lot of propaganda in the American Medical Association and the nutritional guidelines around staying away from these foods for women, especially women trying to get pregnant or being pregnant. And I would say that's 100% the opposite advice. This is not, I'm not going to get deep into science, but deuterium is a heavy isotope of hydrogen, and it's in water and it's in carbohydrates, it's in plants. It is one of the biggest reasons that we're having infertility issues as well. From a biochemical, from a real physical thing that I can test you for, and I can do a process and I can post-test you, I have gotten dozens of women pregnant. One, I'm always dealing with zinc in the man. I'm dealing with certain things with him. And it's zinc is often the magical answer. I mean, testosterone is what I have to deal with, and zinc is a big part of that. But women and hormones, well, we need a lot of cholesterol. We need a ton of B vitamins. We need a ton of zinc. It's also complete in super bioavailable forms. It's in the forms the human needs. The plant forms are not. You cannot use a plant form iron. You cannot use a plant form B vitamin. You can't use a plant form zinc even. It takes tremendous biological energy to convert that into a usable form. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to get pregnant and you're struggling, why would you waste any of your energy? Deuterium is in water and foods that have a lot of glucose and carbs and sugar. So there's almost no deuterium in butter and fat and meat and eggs. Deuterium depletion, low deuterium levels in the body versus high deuterium is a huge factor in fertility and pregnancy. That's a wild ride down science. I go into that much deeper in the second course. But I don't know, are you familiar with deuterium depletion?
I am not. So I'm listening rapidly, and as soon as we finish this call, I'm going to be probably calling you off the call or looking it up to learn more. What I will say is, in the Chinese medicine model, women of reproductive years are really supposed to be eating meat. I respect people for, everyone has her own lifestyle. So it's not that I'm going to force people. And I've had women come to me saying, thank God you did not force me off my vegan, lifestyle. And it's not my place to force you. I can make recommendations, and I can tell you why it is important in the Chinese medicine model, because it's the most efficient way to get all of your nutrients. And of course, the caveat being, grass-fed, organic, wild caught, free range, all of these things, grass finished. But it's interesting to me how this sort of circles back to a 3,000 to 5,000 year old model of how to eat, and especially at this time in a woman's life.
Well, the most fertile groups, are you familiar with the Siberian groups, the Altians and Yakutians?
No.
So there's two tribes. So I hope everybody who's listening understands that the blue zones is all a lie and a myth. That was all manipulated data. None of that is real. And it's all very much agenda-based from the Seventh-day Adventists who run our nutrition programs, who are vegans, right? So you have a religious group that has a very strong agenda, a church with the strong political ties, who are in charge of our dietary guidelines. That's not how this is supposed to work. That's not science. That is cult. They push, they call a slice of pizza, a cheese pizza with that's a vegetable, because they call a tomato a vegetable. They call it a protein, a vegetable, and a starch for kids. So what? They had a vegetable. This is the world we're living in, that a slice of pizza counts as that? Look, even if I'm saying I don't think you should eat a ton of vegetables, we all know pizza doesn't count as any of it.
Exactly.
That's called food. That's
Frankenfood.
Right. I enjoy pizza, but I understand it's delicious. But I'm not calling it's not the same as asparagus. What planet are you guys coming from at this point? So, okay.
These tribes that have the most fertility you were mentioning. Yeah.
Russia, they don't like to tell us this stuff, right? They've been in their own world of, we want the rest of the world to be what they are.
Die off.
And so the Tomsk University, so the people who live the longest in the world and are also the most fertile They live in the harshest conditions in Siberia, extremely cold, overwhelming. They're in these little hut things, and it's a carnivore way of eating. However, so it's an extremely low deuterium diet, but it turns out their water, because the Russians were like, why are these group of people, these centenarians, these 100 and plus, they significantly, there's 6 to 7 times more centenarians there than anywhere else in Russia. What's going on with your people? So throw out everything you think you know that they're lying to you about longevity. These people are going to 140. They're getting pregnant at 60. Documented. There's so many pregnant women that those tribes. It's because their water is 15 to 20% less deuterium than everybody else's. So they're drinking water, super deuterium depleted, and this is getting passed along. So it means that it does many things, but their mitochondria work, which are these energy, they're not really energy producers. They actually are water producers. And it's the water. ATP is not the energy currency of your body as well. Everybody who thinks that is absolutely wrong. It is the water of you that is making, it's the way the water is structured, and it's creating the electromagnetic charge. It's the battery source of your system. So deuterium, and so the water you're drinking and the food you're eating and deuterium are so heavily implicated in fertility. And it is, and Western science knows nothing about it. They are completely missing the boat. As soon as I can finally convince women, can you please start doing this with me? They don't want to do it. They want to do everything else. I'm like, look, I'm cool with LDN. I really like it. I'm cool with this. I'm cool with that. However, let's go to this. And I just do deuterium depletion through diet and water change mostly. And I take them off a lot of supplements. And 6 months later, they're pregnant.
Interesting. Is it distilled water that you use then? No.
Deuterium depleted. See, that is a whole conversation that is too deep to get.
Okay. All right.
So water is not H2O. You have OO, H2O, H3O. The deuterium is heavy. It's basically like hydrogen is a very unique. It has these 3 isotopes. Very, very unique thing. But water is what makes this planet very unique. It's a very this triangle, this polar structure, but the nature of how it's shaped is what makes us. And it's why our water in our body and the ocean are the same. You have to make an ocean inside of you to have that baby. It's kind of weird, right? We're a mammal that breathes water for 10 months. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it really has to come out and breathe air. What a bizarre process.
Truthfully.
Are we a fish or what's really happening? Get that. And like, you have to make an ocean. Why do women crave Pringles, saltines? Why would that start? It's the salt.
It's the salt. Okay. So it's not distilling and removing, it's the adding of the salt.
No. Deuterium is a very long process.
Okay.
To talk about, you have to. That is too deep for us to get into.
Well, that will be another conversation off this podcast.
About 3 hours. And I do go into it in the next course, but you could just go to YouTube. I've interviewed deuterium depletion experts. Most of this is done in Hungary and that area where they're doing most of the research in Russia. Okay. And you can buy deuterium depleted water. It's extraordinarily expensive, but where you live, makes a big difference. Hot locations have more. My water that I drink has more deuterium in it because I live in the South. Uh-huh. So people who live northern Canada, if they're drinking local water, has much less deuterium by
Yeah, I'm going to be looking into this to be sure. But we digress. It was a fun digression, and I'm sure people are now wrapped thinking, okay.
That's what I'm saying. The carnivore way of eating, not eating sugar. It matters. That's because it's so high in deuterium.
Uh-huh. Okay.
The book of Deuteronomy in the Bible is talking about deuterium, actually.
Ah, okay.
With a biochemical lens, I've had 3-hour conversations with biochemists on that book. And when you go, they're talking about hydrogen and we can see it. It's all of
wow.
So all of this stuff has actually been encoded and given to us. We were just not smart enough to understand it.
Well, or we once understood it and we outsmarted ourselves in our being enamored with modern science to forget everything that we innately know.
Yes, I agree. And so that's part of my job. I use a lot of technology. I'm trained in all this biohacking device and neuromodulation. It's called integrated neurotherapies as part of my tag. I change the structure and function of brains, right? Permanently. But my job, all they're doing is bringing you back to nature, bringing you back to the earth that people are, because they're having to what was the term you used? Stick through it, shock.
What did I say? Knock it out. Knock it out.
Right? Because we're so obsessed with knocking everything out, hustle and grind, I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of mentality, right? We don't go outside and just sit go sit by a stream and do nothing, and sit at the beach and do nothing. Right. But when they do go to the beach, they take their boombox or their radios and their noise. You bring the chaos. Why are you bringing the chaos? Because actually we're trying to have the ocean listen to that sound and be in its space, and it literally entrains our brain. It slows us into 10 hertz alpha. It completely alters our physiology, decreases inflammation. That's why so many people, why do so many people get pregnant when they go on vacation?
Exactly. Well, they either get sick or they get pregnant, depending upon the state they were in just before they left for vacation. So they'll either use that time to heal by being sick or to heal by getting pregnant. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because they're finally slowed down and relaxed.
Yes.
And the follicles are like, oh, here we are. Like, yes, the ocean, the beach.
Exactly.
How many orgasms can we have? Mm-hmm. Orgasm, that's a whole other conversation, because that I think is the most potent physical healer of women.
I love that you say that, and I want to have another conversation about this. I know that you're beginning to develop a course for this, so I don't want to steal thunder, and unless you want to give away some pearls or ideas that you could say to the women listening right now, like, yes, your orgasm is imperative.
Yes, it's critical, and to know the number that's so high that I've never had it, right? Because you can't have an orgasm unless you feel safe, right? Literally, the certain part, the lateral frontal orbital cortex of your brain has to shut off. You cannot be anxious and thinking for it to even happen. So there's a lot that goes into it. And again, part of it, a lot of that cultural programming of we must be doing, we must be
performing.
Not supposed to be giving during the sex, actually. Your job is receive and to be pleased and to magnify. And through your pleasure, you are actually giving the pleasure. But this is not through our culture and porn, the ridiculousness of sometimes what you watch, which I never have seen really much porn. I've just recently ventured because I was wanting to see what people are talking about. Pornhub that kids could see. I did not know what I was stunned. Like, wait a minute, there's no question. Like, anybody can see this? Like a 6-year-old. I really, you have to answer questions on products that I sell. Are you 21 years old?
Exactly.
It's CBD. It's, you know what I mean? Or it's methylene blue. Like, these are legal things. And you have to say 21. Pornhub, you just saw things. And it was overwhelming. I spent about 10 minutes, 4 or 5 videos watching things. I'm like, this is what people are watching? No wonder and can't actually have pleasure, because this is ridiculous. This is obviously made, we know what it's made for, and it's causing a lot of problems, and people are addicted to it. But I think women have been deeply influenced, thinking they're supposed to be like strip club porn performers,
pole dancers.
So there's no pleasure receiving in that. If that's what you are, doing.
You can't get out of your head in order to get into your pee.
Part of my course, again, it's about, I want to, the overthinking, this, and just be present. And really, that's what making love to a woman is about, pleasing her. Anybody who's making love to a woman, all they want to do is please. Period. They don't, I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If If you are making love to a woman, you are trying to please her. That sole purpose in that moment. That's, I think women have forgotten that because they give.
Right.
And I'm like,
So women, listen, receive, whether or not you are making love. Receive, receive the morning, receive the nourishment, receive your water. Really have every act be a receptive act to the best of your ability, because I don't want to turn this into another to-do list, but just practice and play with that. And because it really is playful when you think about, wow, I can receive that. It's kind of playful.
Women will get pregnant much faster through play and pleasure. Period.
So we're kind of wrapping up here. I want to make sure that I am respectful of your time. But is there any? We went off on some fun, pivots, and I have my work and play cut out for me in learning more about this.
You want to travel? It's not work when it's fun for you. I love exploring. I'm very dopamine driven. I like more. So it's fun for me to do that. That is pleasurable. If you enjoy it, then it fills you up. It feeds you. As soon as it becomes, I don't enjoy doing my taxes or my bookkeeping, so I don't do it. It's not that is work, and so I pay someone else. I outsource.
With you on that.
So like this, if you enjoy going down a deuterium rabbit hole, do it.
Yeah.
If you don't need it. Women who heard it, that were supposed to hear it, that was maybe an aha moment for them, there's maybe 2 or 3 or 2,000. I don't know. Good. They'll have it. Take on what you want to take on. I don't learning everything that someone, that's fascinating. Can't pick that up today.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's a perfect ending, is to say there is nothing that you need to do, and there's much that you can, should you choose to do, to receive your fertility. I'm going to be putting in the link below a link to your course. Is there anything else that you would want to make sure that they, that a listener can, reach out to you? Are there easiest ways to get in touch with you, or ways that you would prefer not to have someone try to get in touch with you? Like, for instance, do not Facebook message.
Well, so Instagram. So I'd love if you could follow me on social media. I put out a lot of free content. Instagram, YouTube. So I'm Dr. Rimka, Dr.Rimka. I have a very rare name. I'm the only Dr. Stephanie Rimka in the entire world. Rimka is a very, very rare Lithuanian name. So you'll know it's me. So social media, I think, is a wonderful place. So my website's the same name, everything like that. But I do a lot of free content there. You'll know about courses. I like a very, very educated consumer. Whether, and I'm not taking patients. I don't know when it's going to be released. I'm probably on a 4 to 6 month wait list minimum. We don't know when we're opening back up. I'm just overbooked. People are, no lack of sick people right now for people. I can't. So courses are the best way to get into anything with me. And I do, I have a monthly VIP membership, like my platinum people. So patients come into this. So there's 4 Zooms, 1 Zoom a week, and we go over, and anything and everything, peptides and fat loss, weight loss, carnivore, not carnivore, keto, macro. I'll pretty much talk about anything and everything. And you're like, I want to know about this. Okay. And we'll talk about it. It's a place, it's an incredible place, but you have to be a graduate of a couple of my course, different things to even get there, because I want a certain level of mastery. So even
commitment to have engaged already. I mean, you give so much valuable free content. I mean, it's shocking, and you engage so beautifully with the audience that
I try. I really do. I enjoy it. I enjoy. I lecture, I speak. I love Q&A. I love engaging, whether I have a mic on me or not. So I like the interaction. I like those types of, so I do retreats as well. I have a retreat I'm planning for women. I think it's kind of maybe like I don't know if it's going to be the goddess glow up, but it's going to include, so it's like a mini like thing we were doing it this weekend. It'll be here in Atlanta somewhere.
Okay.
It's going to be in Metro Atlanta. That I'm excited for. So I think if you follow me on social media, get on my email list. That'll probably be 20 women only, but it's going to be a whole lot of like some very gentle, like kind of emotional trauma healing. Don't be worried about that. It's going to be very gentle. I'm going to teach the things we've talked about. There'll be exercises and practice with a group of women in a very safe, sacred space. But we're going to cap it off with something that you can use. And so something that I've used through my whole life, and this is a whole nother story, and then we will end it. But I started modeling at, I think, 7th grade because my self-image, my mother, I know, was trying to help me like myself more, and I thought I was so ugly physically that I was consumed by, she didn't know this really, but she knew something needed help. I was consumed by thoughts by the time I was 9 that I should be dead because I brought so much shame to the family because I was so ugly, like physically ugly. Like, why was I born? There's a lot of trauma around all that, my birth, right? So she started making me, taking modeling classes and blah, 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 and whatever. And so we did a show together, and then she started to be this fun mom and daughter thing. I'm like, oh, I hate it, and then eventually I just would get paid, and I'm like, I don't understand why anybody does this. I guess I'm so skinny, I didn't understand any of it. No boys liked me. I wasn't popular that way. I would play football with them, I wasn't the one anybody wanted to kiss. That didn't start happening until late kind of high school. And I still thought I kind of was this ugly thing, right? So through photo shoots, I've done lots of photo shoots. I've been on lots of runways, and I know it sounds, I've been in magazines. I've done Spanish commercials and, for stuff, but I didn't realize what I looked like and I'm considered attractive until my son was like 3 years. I did a photo shoot, and it was like my stylist, Jessica, who said, are you still modeling? I'm like, am I modeling? Jessica, I have a baby. Look at me. But like, I'm old and fat and a baby and my boobs. What are you talking about? Like, model. She's like, well, and she's like, first of all, that's stupid and you're wrong. But
Jessica,
you do like a hair thing for me? I'll give you free haircuts. And I went, yeah, like it is. Like, I'll do I'll be a hair model, like whatever, right? And it was in that photo shoot that there was just this moment. And so I hadn't modeled in a really long time. And it was, I don't know, 40 or something, 38. She'll remember the whole thing. And all the other models were 18. I would really remember it because I was the only one who could drink champagne because they always said, she's the only one legal. I'm like, are you shitting me right now? Because I would say, what are you, 18? They go, yeah. I'm like, because for my 17, I was in the runway wearing Girbeau and Ralph Lauren back then, right? So paid a lot of money. And I still thought I was ugly. I still hate how I looked. You would think that would make somebody think, it did.
Well,
it doesn't at all.
As I hear you say it, this is almost a disease of models, right? Is that they are pitted against each other and made to feel that they are not as beautiful unless they reach that supermodel status. So it does make sense, but it also makes sense that in that play of becoming that persona walking down the runway, that you can really remember yourself.
Right. So I'm bringing in stylists, makeup artists, photographers. You're going to have a photo shoot, mama, and you're going to feel bigger, badder, sexier, sultrier, whatever it is we need to do. That's what you're going to do. We're going to have full on, you're going to bring some of your own clothes, but we're going to have clothes too.
Wow. So how fun.
Stretch who you are. And you're going to, I'm telling you, to let other women completely take care of you. Do all the things. Just trust me. Try this. Just do it. Bring her in. Do it. Go like this. And you have the right thing and you have the right music. It's unreal. So now when I model and do photo shoots or do anything at this age, from 40 to 50, I'm 50. I just did one when we did it for me, I go, this is exactly what I'm doing. So you're going to have this, and it's not like you're going to have photos. You're basically going to leave with professional photography and a whole experience, how we're going to custom craft it for you. So it's a very unique concept, but it was
fun
to me seeing myself in a way. And I like, that's what I look like. And she, yes, dude, that's, oh my God. I go, I'm hot.
Yeah.
Really a moment that my life. I went,
I love it.
No idea that's what I look like.
I love it.
No wonder people's talk. No wonder they say that to me. You know what I mean?
Like, get it.
Figure out that, yes, that's who you are actually. And so then we're going to, other women in community will be cheering you on, and because they're going to get it. And we're going to help you. Some of you will need to feel like a boss. Some of you will need to feel soft. Some of you will need to feel sexy. We're going to push the envelope a little bit, like give you what you want, plus ask you to try something on a little.
I like how you said stretch. There's something that stretching doesn't destroy. It just makes more room. Yeah.
The vagina and the uterus are doing, Pumpkin.
Bingo.
Nobody's business. Maybe not so much, but that's okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Dr. Rimka, thank you so very much for taking this time with us. I hope we get to circle back and do another one, because I think we could do this for weeks on end. And I will put everything, as I say, into the comments below, including your Instagram handle, and then people can learn more about how to take your courses and become a VIP, and then get to Atlanta for that wonderful experience. So, students, class is dismissed at Health University. We're going to sign off for now.